And I'm hoping this will help you and have a profound effect on your lives. I've been a student of Geshe Michaels for, 2001, 2002. I helped build the Diamond Mountain Retreat Center. And I've been studying with my lovely wife all the courses. We took all 18 courses. We've done the Tantra courses. But of all the courses I've taken, I think this one and maybe the Source of All My Good have had the most profound effect on me. So I hope I can impart some of that to you. Okay, let's get started. We'll do our opening prayers. Then I'm going to read the Heart Sutra to clear obstacles. We had a tremendous thunderstorm last night, marble-sized hail, really high winds. So it's a little bit iffy, the power and internet out here. So if something goes down, now you know why. Okay, let's offer the mandala. If you know how to make the mudra, please do so. Here is the great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryataya Me. Now we'll go for refuge. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, I will reach Buddhahood for the sake of all living beings. Okay. Please close your eyes and just listen carefully. If you've never heard the Heart Sutra, it's full of difficult things to think about, but it's the best way to clear obstacles for a Dharma teaching. The Exalted One, the Lady of Conquest, the Sutra on the Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom. I bow first to all enlightened beings and to every warrior saint. Once I heard this teaching. The conqueror was staying on Vulture's Peak in the keep of the king. With him was a great gathering of monks and a great gathering of warrior saints. At a certain moment, the conqueror went into deep meditation on the part of the teachings known as the awareness of the profound. At that moment, too, did the realized being, the great warrior, the Lord of power, loving eyes, see into this one deep practice, the practice of the perfection of wisdom. He saw perfectly that the 5 heaps, the 5 parts of a person, were empty of any nature of their own. Then, by the power of the enlightened one, the junior monk named Shariputra turned and asked this question of the great warrior, loving eyes, the realized one, the Lord of power. If any son or daughter of noble family hope to follow the deep practice of the perfection of wisdom, what would they have to do? This then is the answer that the Lord of power, the realized one, the great warrior, loving eyes, gave to the junior monk named Shariputra. Here, Shariputra, is what any son or daughter of noble family should see who hopes to follow the deep practice of the perfection of wisdom. See first, all 5 heaps, all 5 parts of a person are free of any essence of their own. Your body is empty. Emptiness is your body. Emptiness is nothing but your body, and your body is nothing but emptiness. The same is true of your feelings and your ability to discriminate between things and the other factors that make you up. and all the different kinds of awareness that you possess, all of them are empty. And thus we can say, Shariputra, that every existing thing is emptiness. Nothing has any characteristic of its own. Nothing ever begins, nothing ever ends, nothing is ever impure, nothing ever becomes pure, nothing ever gets less, and nothing ever becomes more. And thus we can say, Shariputra, that with emptiness there is no body, there are no feelings, there is no ability to discriminate, there are none of the other factors that make you up, and there is no awareness. There are no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There is nothing to see, nothing to hear, nothing to smell, nothing to taste, nothing to touch, and nothing to think of. There is no part of you that sees. There is no part of you that is aware that you are seeing. And this is true all the way up to the part of you that thinks and the part of you that is aware that you are thinking. There is no misunderstanding your world. There is no stopping this misunderstanding. And the same is true all the way up to your old age and death, and to stopping your old age and death. There is no suffering. There is no source of this suffering. There is no stopping this suffering. There is no path to stopping this suffering. There is no knowledge. There is nothing to reach, and there is nothing not to reach. Thus it is, Shariputra, that warrior saints have nothing to reach, and because of this, they are able to practice a perfection of wisdom and stay in this perfection of wisdom. This frees them from every obstacle in their minds and frees them from all fears. They go beyond all wrong ways of thinking and reach to the ultimate end of nirvana. All the enlightened beings of the past, the present, and the future too follow the same perfection of wisdom and thus bring themselves to perfect enlightenment, to the matchless state of a totally enlightened Buddha. Thus are they the sacred words of the perfection of wisdom, the sacred words of great knowledge, sacred words of the unsurpassable, sacred words that are equal to the one beyond all equal, sacred words that put a final end to every form of pain, sacred words you should know are true, for false they cannot be, sacred words of the perfection of wisdom, which here I speak for you. Tayata gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhi swaha. And thus it is, Shariputra, the great warrior saints must train themselves in the profound perfection of wisdom. With this, the conqueror stirred himself from his deep state of meditation. He turned to the great warrior, the realized one, loving eyes, the Lord of power, and blessed his words, saying, "True, true," he said, and true again. Thus it is, O son of noble family, and thus is it. One should follow the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have taught it. Every one of those gone thus rejoice in your words as I do. And when the conqueror spoke thus, the junior monk Shariputra took joy. The warrior, the realized one, the loving eyes, the Lord of power took joy as well. All the assembled disciples took joy, and so did the entire world with its gods and men, near gods and spirits too take joy. All sang their praises of what the conqueror had spoken. Okay. So, this weekend is a weekend on death awareness or death realization. I encourage you to use it every day. And I would like it if you would use it as a meditation for the next 3 months. But many of you have other commitments. So you just need to fit it in somehow so you can really get the information we're sharing this weekend. There are 9 stages to the meditation and 3 realizations that are wonderfully brought to life through the meditation aspect. Geshe Michael insists that to reach the skill and meditation necessary to see emptiness directly, you need to meditate for at least an hour every day. If you are new to the idea of meditation, that sounds like that's going to be impossible. But if you start with 5 minutes a day and increase 1 minute a week, in a year, you'll be doing almost a full hour. We're going to be doing short meditations this weekend, culminated with a long one at the end of class. So at the end of this class, we'll start doing a meditation. We'll do one at the beginning of each class and at the end of each class, building on the meditation that finally on Sunday, we'll do in one full meditation. I think you'll be surprised how easy and pleasant this is. I hope you are. So first, we're going to do a very short death meditation involving Geshe Michael, and then we'll do one involving me. So please close your eyes, get comfortable, and I'll lead you through something that happened to Geshe Michael when he was 18 years old, still in high school. You're traveling alone. The trip has had its problem. The plane left Phoenix late. The anxiety of your first airplane trip. People in the seats next to you are annoying you. All the little things that bother people in the mundanity of normal life. You're flying to Chicago. It's going to take several hours. Everything seems to be going well until you get to Chicago and you start circling instead of landing. Then suddenly the plane drops and then it climbs. It does this several times. You've never been in an airplane before, so you have no idea what's going on, but this can't be normal. The flight attendants come through and announce that the landing gear may not have deployed and locked down. So they circle for 45 minutes to use up the fuel. In case they crash, that will stop the fire from starting. During that 45 minutes, everyone forgets the petty stuff. They stop bickering. They start caring and sharing, helping each other, recalling the good things of their life. Then they go in for the final approach to land. The landing's fine. Everything, the landing gear did lock down. There's intense relief. But as they're taxiing down the runway, they notice that there are ambulances and hearse lining the runway because they thought there might be a crash. It kind of shocks you into realizing what could have happened. The door opens and you get down out of the plane. You go collect your luggage. Then the mundanity of the world starts up again. Is my luggage on the plane? Why is it taking so long to get off? Maybe the person next to you can't find their luggage. That stupid airline. What's happened to my luggage? You've gone from caring and sharing when you thought you were going to die to back to the bickering and complaining. So what is our goal? Our goal this weekend is to overcome years and years of karma, 65 karmas ripening per second. That turns out, if you calculate it, to be 5.6 million karmas a day. That's a lot of karma. We need to fix these now and continue to work on fixing the bad karma we generate the rest of our lives. And this meditation can serve that purpose because it emphasizes what you need to do in order to make when you die, what you want it to be. So I'm going to just briefly lead you through what happened to me. I was working at Diamond Mountain. I needed to go teach in El Paso, which is about 4 hours away. So I got in my truck. I drove to Bowie, about 30 minutes away, stopped at the post box, and found that there was a piece of a permit that one of my coworkers needed to start working on a retreat cabin. So I drove back and gave it to him. And as I did, I noticed that it was extremely windy. And I noticed that the door to the temple had cracked because the wind had caught it and slammed it shut. So I took the measurements and realized I was going to have to go get a new door. So now I'm behind time. I'm going to be late to teach, which I hate to do. I hate to be late. So I was driving too fast on the road going out of Diamond Mountain. I took a corner too fast and I rolled my truck twice. Now, normally, maybe someone would have been quite worried that they were going to die. As I rolled my truck, I realized I'd done my death meditation for the day. My wife knew I loved her. We weren't mad at each other. I had nothing, no regrets on my mind. So as the truck rolled and came up on all four wheels, it collapsed the passenger side. I was okay, except for a small cut. I thought to myself as I looked around, this looks like Diamond Mountain. My Tushita heaven must be like Diamond Mountain. I wasn't worried. I wasn't regretting anything. I was perfectly ready for if this was death, then bring it on. But that all came from having this death meditation be ingrained in me. That made it much easier. I wasn't panicked. I wasn't worried. It was quite a relief to have this as in my back pocket. The readings come mostly from Jezon Kapaz and Lam Rim Chenmo. There are 4 steps and a conclusion that we'll be using throughout this weekend. But you need to understand this very clearly. Death awareness habituation does not take place only sitting in meditation. It takes place throughout the day. The point of the practice is to feel or to know that if you die today, your life has been meaningful. If you know you're going to die today, what would you be doing right now? Having awareness of death isn't scary, it isn't sad, it isn't depressing. It means you're always living as if today was your last day. You'll always be doing virtue for your future lives. So we're going to be investigating a 4-part death meditation. Now I'm going to need to share the screen. So let's see if I can pull this off. Okay, share screen. I want to share screen number. Hang on a minute. I've got to do something. Okay, got it. So I want to share screen number 1. Pull this over here. And okay, now I'm going to share screen number 1. Oh, something didn't happen. There, you should see Death Awareness 2023, Class 1. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so that's obviously where we are today. Now, all these slides I'll print out and send to you after class. Four-part death meditation. So we're going to be talking about the disadvantages of not cultivating death awareness, the advantages of cultivating death awareness, what death awareness is and is not, and how to develop death awareness. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, you may see me shaking a bit like that. I have Parkinson's and I have a tremor and it comes and goes. So if you see me shaking, it's not an earthquake. It's just the fact I have Parkinson's. Okay. So disadvantages of not cultivating death awareness. You don't do the Dharma. If you have death awareness, you will concentrate. Hang on a minute. You don't do death awareness, you will concentrate on the small pleasures of this life. You'll act ignorantly, generating karma that will hurt you in the future. You consider death, but think it won't happen. You delay undertaking virtue because in your heart you believe death will come to you later. I didn't start thinking about death for, oh golly, until probably I started learning about the death meditation. That happened to old people. I can remember my grandmothers and my parents getting older when they got to 70 and thinking, boy, that's really old. I wonder if I'll ever get to 70, what that's going to be like. Well, I'm 70 as of last May, so I did reach it. Our natural, you practice, but only for reputation. Our natural motivation is from self-interest and self-concern. This becomes accentuated if you don't do death meditation. You keep thinking more and more about yourself, especially as you get older. Without death meditation, you just do a rote practice and eventually drop it. Without death meditation, you get more invested and entrenched in this life. Getting that extra money to get stuff, accumulate another car, a retreat cabin, a vacation cabin, a boat, things like that. You get stuck in the mundane, neutral, or non-virtuous activities. Number 6, you have intense regret at death. All the things you didn't do come to you as you're dying, and you regret that. And you don't want regret on your mind at the time of death. That's really bad. Okay. Advantages of cultivating death awareness. Your practice is pure. You do it for the right reasons and you practice more. Your practice gains power. If you felt you were going to die today, you would get serious and concentrate hard and have a forceful practice. Helps get you started. This gives you something else you give up something else you were going to do and practice the Dharma instead. Keeps you going strong. Your practice always has ups and downs. When it's down, realizing the death meditation and the power of the death meditation will make you get back in and work hard on your practice. As you near the end, your choices provide more satisfaction, and you die satisfied that you've done the best you can. Okay. Let me go to the next slide. So what death awareness is and is not. There is a death awareness that's meditation that's really pretty scary. We're not doing that. We're not paying attention to or trying to recreate the panic and terror you feel at death. Death awareness is learning to focus on the things in this life which will affect you after you die. What can I do today that will really matter? So how do we develop death awareness? There are three points that we're going to use to develop death awareness. And that's what our guided meditation is all about. Death is certain. The time of death is uncertain. And when you die, nothing but the Dharma helps. Okay. Hang in there a minute. How are we doing on time? Oh, I need to turn off. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry I'm so dark in here. I'm not sure what happened to the lighting. I'll try and fix that before next class. Okay, let's take a short break because we're going to do a meditation now. We're going to do our first meditation. So let's take a short break, come back in 5 minutes, and we'll do a meditation. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes. I don't understand why it's so dark. Oh, let's go. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Now you can see me. Computers have this bad habit of changing themselves. My wife calls her computer the confuser. Okay. So get comfortable. This won't be very long, but I want you to try very hard to stay still, close your eyes, and think about what we're doing. This is going to be like playing a video, except it's going to be verbal instead of visual. So before you do a meditation, in this case, we're doing more of a contemplation, but it's a good practice to get used to. There are preliminaries we need to do. So first, check your posture. If you're not a meditator, that's not going to mean much to you. But we have a 7-point posture we need to deal with. Maybe we can go over that later this weekend. So your legs, shoulders, head level. Legs and shoulders should be relaxed. Eyes lowered or closed. Spine straight. Now we're going to watch our breath for 2 rounds of 10. I'll count them. What I want you to do is try to follow your breath and not think of anything else. If you start to think of something else, start counting again. If you do this practice, you will find that you can do 2 rounds of 10 and keep focused. So here we go. So go for refuge in the fact that the teaching this weekend can help us change our behavior in order to really protect us and in order to help us truly help other beings. Now think about bodhicitta, the wish to achieve enlightenment. In our case, Mahayana bodhicitta, the wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Think of someone you know that's having trouble, mental, physical, emotional pain. Think how much you'd like to be able to help them and grow that feeling in your heart. Invite your holy being, someone you respect. It doesn't have to be a religious person. It could be your parents, a good friend, someone you have great respect for. Invite them to come meditate with you. Visualize them sitting in the air about a full-length prostration away from you, life-size, smiling, happy that you're doing this practice. They're at about eye level. Next, mentally prostrate, thanking them for their good qualities. A lot of people have trouble with prostrations. I know that a friend who couldn't do prostrations for about the first year of her Buddhist practice. Prostrations to me are thanking the person I'm prostrating for a teaching or for their presence, the way they conduct themselves. I don't consider it to be a lesser practice. Now make this holy being an offering. If your teacher is the one, your Lama is the one in front of you, the nicest one you can offer is to offer your practice. Something you did well today, not getting mad, helping someone at the office, letting someone go in front of you at the store because they were agitated and in a hurry. Next, make a small confession. Regret a wrong deed you've done in the last 24 hours. Quickly replay it, but determined to try and hard not to do it again. This is where you could do the 4 powers of purification, if you know those. Next, rejoice. Tell them a specific goodness that you did and be happy about it. Next, ask for teachings, both formal and informal. The informal ones where someone irritates you and you realize it's a chance to practice not getting angry, not replying to them. Ask for the teachers to stay, pray for their long lives and continued involvement with us. Okay, shift around if you need to, and close your eyes again. Try really hard to stay still and listen. You've been struggling through a deep, thick, dark forest with a trail that's seemingly going nowhere for a long time. You're tired from having carried a heavy backpack that contains all your possessions. You have so much stuff that stuff is even strapped to the outside of the backpack. The stuff on the outside catches the branches and made the trip hard. Your arms and face are all scratched up. You're hot, you're tired, you're thirsty. You look up from the trail one more time, and this time you see you're at the edge of the forest. You're finally going to be through it. As you step out into the clearing, you see below you a meadow with a farmer's market in progress. On the other side of the market is a small open-air cafe, and you set your sights on it as you are hungry and thirsty. Before you step down into the meadow in the farmer's market, you can see beyond the cafe a swiftly flowing river with an ornate, arched wooden bridge crossing to the other side. You can just barely see an adobe-like structure, and at its entrance appears to be a cluster of guards. Just ahead of you and spread across the width of the meadow are vendors with all kinds of produce, broccoli, potatoes, different kinds of lettuce, zucchini, fresh apricots, grapes, apples, peaches, fresh bread. There's a section of the market for vendors of household items and artwork, woven goods, furniture. The market is full of people milling around and looking at the vendors. You step into the clearing eager to be amongst people again because you've spent so much time in the forest. You walk towards the cafe, noting which vendors you will come back to after you eat and have your drink. Luckily, you see a booth where tote bags nearby, 4 tote bags nearby, so you can gather more things, as if you need anything more. You have to gently push past people. At first, you are gentle, but then they start to push back and grab at what is outside on the outside of your pack. You gently slap their hands, defending your stuff, all the while trying to get to the cafe. This scene is like someone living life in denial of their inevitable death. We constantly struggle to get what we want or think we need. We struggle to protect our stuff from people that think they need it. We use up our good karma and create negative karma without a moment's hesitation due to our ignorance. This is our image of the problem of not meditating on death. Without meditating on death, we will never come to see how useless and petty most of what we do really is. And hence we perpetuate this cycle of life, of suffering life, samsara. You break out of the crowd thinking there's something wrong with this picture. I cannot go on like this. Something has to change. The thought dissipates as you near the cafe tent, drawn in by the smell of fresh bread and roasted vegetables, the thought of a cool drink, maybe even iced coffee. You reach the cafe, find an empty table, take off your backpack. You've been craving a fresh mozzarella cheese and roasted red pepper sandwich, and as if by magic, there's one on the menu. And you order it along with a large iced coffee. As you eat your meal, you begin to think about what you should get at the market and just how big an extra bag you'll need. You finish your meal and get up with the intent to go back. But as you pick up your backpack and feel how heavy it is, you realize, I don't need any more stuff. I need to get rid of stuff. You leave the cafe and walk toward the ornate arched wooden bridge. You reach the entrance to the bridge and walk up to the high point at the center. The bridge represents the benefit of doing a good death meditation. You put the backpack down and open it up. You start to throw things over the bridge railing, identify them as you go, and saying sincere good riddance. The stuff in the backpack represents all our unnecessary possessions, relationships, inaccurate beliefs, opinions, and stuff. Before I did my first attempt at this class, I had 3 newspapers I read during the day. I watched the news in the morning. I watched the news before the national news and after the national news, and again in the late evening. Talk about a waste of time. Nothing changed between the newspapers and watching the news. Yet I consumed probably 2 hours of my day doing something reasonably futile. It doesn't mean you can't have a newspaper subscription, but you don't need 3. It doesn't mean you can't watch television, but that can't be the main part of your day. It doesn't mean you can't have social media, but if you find yourself spending more time on your phone, on your computer, and Facebook, and whatever the other one, I don't do any of it, Instagram, I guess. Think about where you can spend your time more wisely. You pull out a canteen and perhaps it represents the big house mortgage that you struggle to get out from under. And the reason you got it was everybody else at work has a beautiful house. You had an apartment. You were tired of everybody saying, why don't you get a house? You don't have to live in an apartment. So you got a house that you can't really afford. The flashlight is your need for the latest cell phone. If the cell phone companies had their way, you'd buy a new phone every year. The camp stove is your habit of eating out constantly because you don't like to cook. And that's another reason you have to work so hard at your job, because you have to pay for that habit. The bedroll is that friend that just likes to go to the bar and argue politics. You talk about the same thing every time you go. It's a total waste of time. Without meditating on death, we'll never come to see how useless and petty much of what we do really is. You pick up your backpack, now considerably lighter, and continue across the bridge, having gotten rid of these things without regret. This is the key. When you're doing this death meditation and you're undergoing renunciation, you're giving up things. You cannot have regret. I have a watch that I really like. I used to collect watches. I really like this watch. I have a good friend who also likes it. I keep wanting to give it to him, but every time I pick it up and look at it, I go, well, maybe not now, maybe in a few more months. One way we've gotten rid of stuff as our renunciation practice is every time we move, if we haven't touched something in 6 months, we get rid of it. And periodically, like at New Year's and things like that, we'll go through the house together, look at things. Do we really need this? And if we don't, we give it away. It's one of the beauties of living in this retirement community. If you don't want something and you don't mind giving it away for free, just put it out on the front sidewalk with a sign that says free. And you would not believe how quickly stuff disappears. You go over the bridge. The backpack is very light, but you're still dirty and hot and tired. You look ahead and you see a gauntlet of armed guards that you must pass before you make it to the meadow in front of the entrance to the building. They're brandishing swords and maces and whips. They represent the other kind of death meditation, where you practice the terror and horror of death. You realize this, muster your remaining strength and courage, and run right past them before they can react. Suddenly, you find yourself in a peaceful meadow, refreshed, clean. You no longer have the backpack. You're carefree and walk slowly toward the door. You walk up a 7-step landing made of granite, leading up to a tall, ornately carved yellow door. Engraved on the door are the words, "Death is certain." Okay, remember the holy being that you had in front of you. Shrink them down in size. Bring them to the top of your head. And imagine them going down your central channel to your heart and having them stay with you the rest of the day to be there to help you and guide you. So what we've done is get ourselves ready for the actual death meditation, which we will start next class. This first class is relatively short. I like to do that for what they started teaching. And for some of you, it's getting into the evening. So let's dedicate this, what we've done so far. By the goodness of what we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them now. I'm not sure how I'm going to see them. I guess I need to get the chat. There we go. Now I can't type, so if I'm going to respond to a question on the chat, it won't be by typing. You don't realize how much the small things in life matter to you until you can't do them. My Parkinson's means I can't type, so I have to use voice recognition software. I've written several books using it, but it's still frustrating. I really like typing. Seems pretty mundane. I don't drive anymore. Safety for that. Used to like to drive. But let me share something about Parkinson's and about how I try and, this is part of my death meditation process. You may have heard Geshe talk about the how and the why. Well, when I got diagnosed with Parkinson's, I thought about that teaching, the how and the why. How I got Parkinson's is probably due to the chemicals I used as a research scientist. But why I got Parkinson's is because I inconvenienced other people in the past. So knowing that, I was armed with the fact that it's my fault for past deeds that I have Parkinson's. Nobody else's. It's not the university, it's the chemicals, it's not the chemical company. It's my fault. So the way I approach many things when it's my fault is I approach it with humor. So I'm going to run 4 jokes by you. These may not translate well. We'll find out. The first joke is, what's the favorite alcoholic beverage of a Parkinson's patient? Martini, shaken, not stirred. Because we shake so much. I think that's pretty funny. How do you know a Morse code operator has Parkinson's? They stutter. Why are we considered to be so friendly? We're always waving. Why are we considered to be so angry? We're always shaking our fists. Parkinson's is not funny in the true sense. But if you can't approach it with a sense of humor, you get depressed pretty quickly. I have not been depressed since I was diagnosed in 2017. Part of that is I have a lovely wife who helps me make sure not to get depressed. But it's my fault for my past deeds. And because of the idea of karma and emptiness, I could wake up, every morning I wake up, when I open my eyes, I think to myself, the karma for me having Parkinson's could run out today. And there is no reason that's not possible. Absolutely no reason. If it's my karma to have Parkinson's, it's my karma not to have Parkinson's. Yes, I take medication to alleviate the symptoms, but I tried the medication for several months and then stopped taking it because some of the medication wasn't doing anything. I did that twice, and the third time we altered some of my other medication, and now this one medication worked. So how do you explain that? Except through karma and emptiness. So, oh, let's do one more thing. We should do the pen. I have Okay, let's do the pen. Okay, what is this? Looks like a pen, right? Shaped like a pen. Everybody sees something like that, you immediately identify it as a pen. It's metal, so I doubt a dog would consider it a chew toy. I'm not sure what a dog would consider a metal pen. That's an interesting question. But even though you think you know this is a pen, it's actually a pointer. It's not a pen at all. So you think this is self-existently a pen because it looks like a pen. It must be a pen, and it must work like a pen. But you don't have the karma to see it as a pen anymore because now you know it's a pointer. So the point of this is the point of the pen story. The whole point of the pen story is to realize that what you see is due to your karma, your projections. It's not coming at you, you're projecting. Your karma ripens, then you see it. It's very important to know it. So my karma is ripening for me to have Parkinson's, but my karma could ripen for me not to have Parkinson's. Now, what do I need to do to make that happen? Well, if I don't want it in my future, I need to behave and act in the present so that I don't do things that will ripen in the future. So another thing I like to think about is the past is the present and the present is the future. What I've done in the past is creating my present life. What I'm doing in this life, responding to Parkinson's with wisdom instead of ignorance, is setting the seeds for me not to get Parkinson's again, hopefully, and for maybe to go away in this lifetime. There's absolutely no reason that couldn't happen. There's absolutely no reason that it could happen. Depends on my karma. How did I inconvenience people in the past? So now I'm writing, almost finished a book. And whenever anybody asks me for information, I stop what I'm doing, ask me for anything, whether it be information or not. I immediately stop what I'm doing and I go and find what they need. Because I don't want to inconvenience them, so in the future I'm not inconvenienced. Now it seems kind of maybe silly to some or trivial. I maintain it's the small things in life that end up growing to big things. As we know, karma multiplies, doubles every 24 hours. So if I help someone get something they need right away and do that and dedicate that to my future, that's the kind of thing that's going to grow in the future, whether it be this life or the next. Those are the kind of things I want to have happen. Instead of someone saying, Sumati, I need this, and going, well, I'm busy. I'll get to that maybe today or tomorrow or the next day. I've inconvenienced them. And that's going to come back to me in some form, whether it be Parkinson's or something else. So I challenge you as you go through life from now on, look for the kind of things that you're doing now and see if they're what you want to have happen in the future, let alone be worried about when you die or as you're dying. Just think about it. I think you'll find there are lots of little instances throughout the day where you can do better. And that's the whole point of this meditation. Okay. Are there any questions? No, well, either I bored you to tears, or you've all done this before, or I've given you too much to think about. Okay. Now that I figured out how to illuminate myself, I'm enlightened. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm going to start teaching again in, let's see, 10 o'clock, 11 hours. So we'll see you later this evening for me, I guess later in the afternoon for all of you, later in the evening. It's really difficult trying to get a teaching to cover all the time zones on the planet, but it's really wonderful to be able to use Zoom to do these teachings. Okay. See you all in 11 hours. Thank you for taking the class. Stick with it. I think you'll find it's very useful. And please, if you have questions, just plan to save them till the end of class, and I'll be more than happy to answer them, whether it be on stuff in class or other things you want to know. If I can answer them, I will. If not, I will find out for you right away because I don't want to inconvenience you. Thank you, Svetlana, for organizing this, and thank you, Elna, for coming through with my translation. Svetlana will send you the copies of the slides and a few other things after I get them sent to her in a few minutes. So please do the reading before next class. You'll find that illuminating. I don't think they're too long. Okay. Bye-bye.